Hi guys, welcome to Adam McKola TV. I'm Adam and this is the Premier League preview for game week 2. At the end of this video, we'll also have a little bit of an update on the Fantasy Premier League standings and if I've changed anything in my team. I'm still pondering that at the moment, but the weekend's almost here. Another weekend of Premier League football is almost upon us and I cannot wait. The first game of the weekend is of course Swansea against Manchester United, and Manchester United, after their first opening weekend of the season, will be looking to go into that game and get a similar result to the comfortable 3-1 victory we had at the Liberty Stadium last season. We haven't enjoyed the best of records against Swansea despite that victory under Jose Mourinho, and we've dropped points against them over the last couple of years as well. So it's not been the best of places for United to go to. But my full preview for the Manchester United against Swansea game will be on Friday night and it will be live on youtube.com/Adam McKola, so make sure you join us for that. In this video we'll look at the other Premier League fixtures this weekend, all other 9 fixtures of course, ending with that game on Monday between Manchester City and Everton. So let's get started then. Bournemouth against Watford is the first game we'll talk about. Now obviously Bournemouth lost their opening weekend fixture away to West Bromwich Albion in a 1-0 defeat, but I didn't get to see much of that game, so I couldn't have told you how they performed, but a lot of reports of that match that it wasn't great. Now Watford on the other hand were involved in a fantastic 6-goal thriller with Liverpool and they snatched an equaliser towards the end of the game. Now some people said that was offside. Now I don't know if it was because I'm a Manchester United fan, but it looked like it was in line and a square ball to me. So I think it was a just goal and Watford got a well-earned point. I think based on their performance anyway, they definitely deserved it. Now in the Premier League preview, I said Watford would go down, and that was because I made a big blunder and I absolutely forgot Marco Silva was in charge of Watford. I don't think they go down. I think he's an absolutely fantastic coach. We're already seeing that in the way that Watford were playing in the opening weekend. Now obviously they conceded a lot of goals, but Liverpool will score goals against any side. Bournemouth seem to have lacked that cutting edge against West Bromwich Albion. Now I know Tony Pulis' side can kill the game a little bit, and Bournemouth like to play football. So this is a very interesting game, and if I was going to put this on my ACCA, I really wouldn't know which way to go, and for that reason I'm going to go for a score draw between Bournemouth and Watford. Also this weekend, Burnley against West Bromwich Albion. Now West Brom, as I said, they beat Bournemouth and they've recently signed Gareth Barry for £1 million, and I think it's about 37, 38 years old. So he's obviously not the Gareth Barry that he was at Manchester City, but he was a decent player for Everton, and I think with West Bromwich Albion having lost Darren Fletcher to Stoke, I think Gareth Barry coming in is a good acquisition for them. Now obviously coming up against Burnley, Sean Dyche's side on the back of that 3-2 victory at Stamford Bridge, and they'll be very confident of getting another result here. But it's going to be a difficult game. I don't think there'll be as many goals in this game, let's put it that way. And I think it will be a tight 1-0 either way. But I'm going to go Burnley 1, West Bromwich Albion 0, and Burnley's good home form to continue. They had some good home form in the league last season, and last season they only won 1 away game on the road. So obviously they're going to be relying on their home form again, and they need to win games like this, and I think they will just. Another team that was involved in an absolute thriller in the opening weekend, they were involved in the opening fixture and they lost 4-3 at the Emirates, a game that, in my opinion, they should have got at least a draw out of it. Once they were 3-2 up, you can't be losing that game. But obviously with Arsenal bringing on Giroud and Ramsey, they turned the screw a little bit, and once it went 3-3, you could just see that 4th Arsenal goal coming. But Leicester would have got confidence from that. They looked good on the counter-attack. In the first half as well, I thought they were defensively quite good, and they were compact and well organised. And you'd expect that from them under Craig Shakespeare. But I do think this is a game that Leicester City will win, and win comfortably. Brighton, they had a good 60 minutes against Manchester City, and they looked like they may have been able to snatch a draw. But I couldn't have seen Brighton snatching a victory. They just didn't look like they had goals in them. Knockaert was on the bench, which was a strange decision for me anyway. And I think they're going to struggle to score goals this season. I like Chris Houghton, but I can see it being a difficult one for them. And I think Leicester will get a comfortable win. I'm going 2-0. Now Southampton had a frustrating start to the season when they were held 0-0 at home against Swansea, United's opponents this weekend. And they've got West Ham another home fixture for them, obviously because West Ham can't play in their home ground at the moment because of the Athletics. And with Southampton being at home in this game, I think that will give them a slight edge. I think West Ham, the acquisition of William Carvalho for them was a great signing, and they've got a lot to prove. I think they'll be fired up for this game because of the simple fact that you look at their performance against Manchester United and you look at their performance after the hype of Joe Hart, Arnautovic, Hernandez coming in, etc. And their performance flattered to deceive. Now, I think a lot of teams will find it difficult against Manchester United at Old Trafford this season if we play like that. Of course they will. So you can't really judge them for losing against Manchester United. But it was the way they lost, and they didn't put up much fight about it. Now, I think they'll be fired up this week in training. They've had a whole week to prepare for this game. And I think this may be a little bit of a coupon buster. I think a lot of people will put Southampton on in this game. And I can see West Ham nicking a win. And I'm going to go 2-1 West Ham here, in what may be a shock win for some. But I think it could be Javier Hernandez's first goal back in the Premier League, and it could be a crucial one. So 2-1 to West Ham. What do you guys think? Get your score prediction in the comments below. Right then, now we get onto the juicy stuff. The fixtures involving our rivals and the sides that you expect to finish in the European spots. First up at Anfield this weekend, it's Liverpool against Crystal Palace. Now, Liverpool obviously had a disappointing result on the road to Watford, and you would expect this to be a difficult game for them. But the way Crystal Palace are currently playing under Frank de Boer, it looks like Frank de Boer is going to need a little bit more time there at the moment. They lost 3-0 on the opening weekend against Huddersfield, which was obviously a shock performance. I enjoyed Timothy Fosu-Mensah's performance, but that aside, Crystal Palace weren't great. They didn't look great at all. And whilst I feel the result was probably, you know, it didn't reflect the game that much. I thought those 2 quick goals from Huddersfield, and then obviously the game could have gone either way if Crystal Palace got the first goal of the second half. They didn't. Huddersfield got another one, and it looks like a bad result. It was a bad result. But I think the pressure will continue to pile on Frank de Boer until he gets results because of the fact he's come in and he's changed the complete style of play. Because of him changing the complete style of play, it's going to take time for them to settle. And I think that could play into the hands of Liverpool here. Now, obviously, under Sam Allardyce, they got a result at Anfield. I don't think the same will happen again. Now, the good thing for Crystal Palace is that Liverpool looked like they would concede goals against Watford. They always look like they'll concede goals. But they also look like they'd score goals as well. And I think, of course, Liverpool have had that midweek game, but I don't think that will affect them that much. And I think they'll get a victory here. Of course, if Crystal Palace can keep it 0-0 at half-time, then you go into the second half, Liverpool's fans start to doubt things and all that stuff. And with their defence, look, I think Liverpool's defence is shocking. And it's the thing that's going to stop them from finishing in the top 4 or challenging for the league this season. It's that simple. They've got goals in them, but they've got goals against them as well. And whilst I think they have got a shaky defence, I don't think that will come into play this weekend. And I can see it being another defeat for De Boer's Palace. And I'm going 2-0 to Liverpool. Then we move on to the late fixture at the Britannia between Stoke City and Arsenal. Now, when I thought about this fixture first, I thought, Arsenal haven't done very well in this fixture recently. And then I look at the record, and in the last 5 Premier League games, they've won 4 and drawn 1. So they haven't lost any of the last 5 games against Stoke, although Stoke historically do well against them. Now, I think the thing that's changed here for Stoke is they've changed the way they play. In the last game, they had Berahino up top. In the last game against Everton, which they lost 1-0. They had Berahino up top. They had Bojan, they had Mami Biram Diouf, etc, etc. But they don't have a side that is very, very strong or very tall, as they did in the past, you know, with the likes of Crouch and Walters, etc, etc. So you think Stoke City are now going into these games and they're trying to play football, and that is probably why the results have benefited Arsenal more in recent years, because of the fact that if someone plays football against Arsenal, if they're not as good as Arsenal, which Stoke aren't, Arsenal are probably going to beat them. Now, if Stoke resort to that route one football, that strong, rough tackling kind of football, that's where Arsenal struggle, because they don't have that battle in them. But I don't think Stoke City actually play that way. Now, I do think they could snatch a draw here, but I think Arsenal have shown they've got goals in them at the moment. They look like, you know, they're a threat in the attack, and they look like they can concede too. But Stoke City, they didn't do much. They haven't got many goals in his side when you look at the team itself. Yes, I'm a fan of Berahino, but his career seems to have stalled. I think Arsenal will win this one 2-1. Although obviously, I want them to drop points just so I can see the outrage. I do think Arsenal will win 2-1. Some might say though, the fact that they've won 4 of the last 5 Premier League games against Stoke means Stoke are due a result, which I wouldn't mind. Now Sunday's first fixture is between Huddersfield and Newcastle, the newly promoted sides. Newcastle lost at home against Tottenham. Huddersfield got a away victory against Crystal Palace, and obviously going into this game I think Huddersfield will be the most confident side going into it. But I think these guys could pretty much cancel themselves out. I think Rafa Benitez's side will go there and they'll look to do a tactical job. I think they could potentially get like a smash and grab win there. But I think Huddersfield will have that confidence in them. I think Newcastle will have a little bit of resilience in them as well. You remember they finished champions of the Championship last season. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 here between Huddersfield and Newcastle. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Newcastle snatch a win. Then we move on to Spurs against Chelsea. And I've got to say, this game between Spurs and Chelsea is very, 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 very interesting. Antonio Conte at the moment is under an awful lot of pressure. And he looks liable to snap at any given time. Now Chelsea, when you looked at their bench on the weekend, it was absolutely awful. Yes, they had Morata on the bench, but you ask yourself, why is a £75 million striker on the bench? He's probably not going to be on the bench in this game. You'd expect him to start, and then you'd see Batshuayi on the bench, and their bench would look even worse. With Diego Costa sitting in the stands, I think everything that could go wrong for Conte at the weekend did go wrong, and that was why he got my first Wally of the week. So Conte's got a big task on his hands here. Tottenham at Wembley. Of course, they haven't got the greatest of records there, but I think they may put that away. They're going to be playing there 19-20 times this season. I don't think that will have as much impact on them this season. And I think whilst it is going to be an interesting game, Chelsea obviously beat Tottenham there quite resoundingly in their last fixture at Wembley. But Tottenham go into this game. Tottenham looked good. They looked like they picked up where they left off from against Newcastle. Dele Alli was getting slammed all over the park, tackled all over the park. He popped up with another crucial goal. And I think they have the edge going into this game. Chelsea are missing an awful lot of players too. Obviously Cahill's out because of that red card he picked up. But you've also got Cesc Fabregas, who also got a suspension. Pedro, Hazard and Bakayoko, who are likely to miss the game. So a long list of injuries for Chelsea. And while Spurs haven't strengthened their team that much, they have still got that side that played together a lot last season. And I don't think their lack of depth in their squad will come to affect them until a few months have passed or a few injuries have hit the side. So I think Spurs will win this game, and I think he will pile the pressure on for Antonio Conte. And that's crazy to think. If a victory for United, a victory for Spurs, a victory for Arsenal could see us 6 points clear of the champions already at this point of the season. Absolute madness, and it's only 2 games in. I don't like to look at the table at this point, which is why we won't be doing that in the Premier League previews and reviews until about 8 games have passed. We will not look at the league table. So yeah, I think Spurs are going to win this game. I'm going to go 2-1. Harry Kane to get his first goal in August. Dele Alli to pop up with a goal. Chelsea to get one back, and 2-1 to Spurs in a victory at Wembley. What's your prediction? And then we go on to Monday's fixture. Again, another interesting fixture. I'm so buzzing that the Premier League is back, guys. We've got Tottenham, Chelsea. We got Manchester City, Everton. We got Stoke against Arsenal. Coming after Manchester United play at Swansea. So if United can get a victory this weekend, I'm going to be absolutely buzzing my tits off, watching the rest of the results coming through, hoping the others drop points. Now, I know some of you guys may not be Man United fans watching this, and you're thinking, I hope you lot fuck up so that we can pick up points on you guys, but that's the way it goes. Anyway, we move on to Manchester City against Everton. Manchester City got a decent result away to Brighton after Brighton started off the game brightly. Brighton started off the game brightly? Yeah, whatever. As they did, they couldn't just get that goal, and Manchester City looked like they had it in them. Sergio Aguero was key for them again, and I think them keeping Sergio Aguero is as good as any signing they have made this season. There were rumours Aguero was going to go, and I fully expected him to do that. Now, I class Aguero as one of, if not the best striker in the Premier League. And I think over the last couple of years, he has been the best striker in the Premier League. And if Man City let him go, they would have been absolute bonkers. But they've kept him, and that could be key for them because he's always guaranteed a goal. Now, they come up against an Everton side They've recently acquired Sigurdsson, so this could be his debut. They have had that Europa League game on Thursday, but they should be alright and they should be well rested going into the game against Manchester City. Now, Wayne Rooney's got an incredible record against Manchester City, and I'm sure he'll love to give any stick back that he's going to receive when he's at the Etihad Stadium. But I think this one may come a little bit too early for Everton. I think with Everton and Coleman, they've brought an awful lot of new players. I think, yes, against Stoke, they looked solid. They didn't concede any chance or any goals, but I don't think Stoke have many goals in them. And I think, yeah, it's just the lack of understanding between all the players could come to cost Everton. But I'll be backing them to get a point or a result. But I do think Manchester City will snatch this. I wouldn't be surprised to see it 0-0 for a while and then City get a goal and then probably follow it up with another quick fire goal. So going to go 2-0 to Manchester City, but hope otherwise. Now, as I've said, I'll be hoping for results to go my way when Stoke play Arsenal, when Liverpool play Palace, when Manchester City play Everton, when Spurs play Chelsea, etc. But I've already predicted them that I only think Chelsea are going to drop points this weekend. So there you have my predictions, guys. Get your predictions in the comments below. What are you thinking about this weekend's fixtures? Remember, if you want my thoughts on the Man United Swansea game, then my preview will be live Friday night, so make sure you check that out. Anyway, let's get stuck into the Fantasy Premier League stuff. And as you can see, my team is now on the screen. That's my team. I haven't made any changes to this side yet. I was going to take Timbo out and put another defender in, but I thought my loyalty to Timbo isn't going to allow me to do that. So I've kept him in there. Haven't made any changes. I'm going to sit tight for now. I had a good week. I'm 34 points off John Rodgers' Ospina Colada, so got some catching up to do to get him. But I thought I had a decent week, above average week in terms of score anyway, and I'm hoping to pick up some more points this weekend. So guys, that's my team. That's the Fantasy Premier League code, and that has been my Premier League preview of the weekend's action. Get all your comments in below. Make sure you're getting involved in the league as well. If you're not already in, then hit the code get in now, while you're still getting in reasonably early and you're not missing out on too many points. So make sure you do that. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button as well. Like, comment and share. And of course, during the week, get your suggestions in for Wally of the Week. Get your suggestions in for, of course, the Weird Wide Web. Get all your suggestions in for my new series and my new features. And of course, keep it locked for the regular features here on Adam McKola TV. You guys have been legends. I've been Adam McKola. I'm out of here.